Welcome to Fighting Stats, the ultimate channel for MMA fans who love statistics and betting breakdowns. I'm your host, Art C, and I'm here to get you ready for the upcoming UFC fights. In this series, I'll be watching tape and providing my real time analysis on how I think the fights are going to go. I'll be watching for fighters' strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and overall strategies, pairing that with Fighting Stats' exclusive UFC stats not available anywhere else to give you a prediction on how I think the fights are going to go and ultimately who's going to win. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Fighting Stats.
What is going on? Welcome back to Fighting Stats. I'm your host Art C, and today I'll be watching the Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski fight. This was the original fight, the champion versus champion fight. Islam Makhachev was 4 inch taller, uh, same weight. Volkanovski 1.5 inch reach advantage. Going into this fight, we assumed that Makhachev would be the bigger wrestler, be stronger in the clinch, and be able to get the fight to the ground. So we will watch the tape, see if there's any adjustments coming up before their UFC 294 matchup. Worth noting, Islam Makhachev minus 380 favorite in this fight. Uh, Round number one. They are off. Islam Makhachev opens up in southpaw, Volkanovski in orthodox, Volkanovski in and out from the outside, feinting in and out, trying to keep some distance, knowing that the takedown attempt is going to be coming. Volkanovski showing a different couple of looks, moving the hips around, circling over to his left, Makhachev being a little bit patient. With Southpaw versus Orthodox, it's really about the foot placement, who has the foots on the outside. So Volkanovski is doing the right thing in circling to that side. Makhachev has to find a way to close the distance and get to the body. One thing to note with Makhachev, his takedowns usually come from body locks rather than single or double leg takedowns. So he does like to press his opponents up against the cage here. Makhachev opened with a body kick that landed. Volkanovski missed on a low kick. Volkanovski going low and then high, barely landed there. Here, 5 round fight, a little bit of a feeling out process. Volkanovski's, doesn't want to commit too early. Volkanovski will usually stand in orthodox most of the time. He can switch, but he switches there, but he defaults back to orthodox. One thing to note with Volkanovski again, he doesn't like to really use a lot of punches. He's usually one and done, one and two and done, in and out. He uses his speed to close the distance where he darts in there, throws. Makhachev has to move back. Volkanovski landed a left hand there on the break. 2 minutes into round one. Makhachev was able to eat that left hand though. Back to standing. Volkanovski also likes that throwing from orthodox and then switching to southpaw, where he then throws the hook on the way out. There, where he switches, he steps into southpaw and then steps back into orthodox, which is a little bit short on that combo there. Showing southpaw here, he'll switch back to orthodox. There it is. Makhachev still looking for that opening there. Volkanovski doing a good job of keeping the distance, only closing the distance with blitzes. So Makhachev has to get creative. He usually likes to time the aggression and counter, but Volkanovski is sort of aware of it here. Remember, this fight also takes place in Australia, Volkanovski's home turf. There he goes. Well, looked like he got caught there. High kick there. Now Makhachev's coming forward. Volkanovski on his back foot. Makhachev opens up with a knee, and now he gets the body lock up against the cage. Here he's on the back right away. They're still standing, so this is Volkanovski. He has two hands on one. He's trying to really break the grip. Makhachev has these like creative trips here from this position where he'll do inside, outside leg kicks. He'll push you off balance, push you one way, and then get you down. He's putting Makachev's using his right leg there, trying to set up the hook. So when it goes down, he already has that hook in. But again, he's just leaning on Volkanovski here. Volkanovski decent balance there. Nice trip there. Like I said, Makhachev able to get it down right away, put one hook in, trying to prevent Volkanovski from standing back up. But it looks like he still has his weight from underneath him. Makhachev trying to get that other hook in. Now he does get that other hook in. He has both hooks in with Volkanovski up against the fence. Makhachev trying to hold Volkanovski's wrist there with the right hand. Volkanovski doing the right thing, defending just 2-on-1 there, really trying to defend the wrist. Makhachev trying to squeeze here, but he's on the chin. Makhachev trying to swim for to get the arms under the chin here. Volkanovski doing a good job of just staying calm, tucking his chin. He turns into the choke. He's not going to get choked out here. It's just going to be uncomfortable for Volkanovski. So same thing where he's just grabbing onto the arms, breaking the wrist. He knows he's safe here. He just has to defend the hands. Big cheer from the crowd, but you give up back control, you sort of lose the round, right? So even though Volkanovski landed that shot early, Makhachev countered with another shot later on in the round and then got the takedown and back control. I think it's a clear round for Makhachev based on back control, dominant position. Um, not really close to getting the submission, but again, he attempted it. Volkanovski, I think, is smart enough not to get submitted there. So that's what I'm saying. Where Volkanovski goes from orthodox, he switches to southpaw, and then he throws the hook from southpaw. Looks like Makachev just throwing bombs through a head kick that partially blocked by Volkanovski. And then, yeah, when you get the back, it's just so hard to get Makachev off your back. It looked like Volkanovski was going to be able to spin into him and get top control, but Volkanovski was able, or Makachev was able to continue to keep that position there. So we saw some early grappling from Makachev. Once he was able to get a hold of Volkanovski, he was able to get that down. So he was 1 for 1 on takedowns. And so we saw a game plan there. So round number two. Similar where Volkanovski starts orthodox, Makhachev stays in southpaw. Volkanovski still circling to the left. Will open up the straight right down the middle. Both body kicks are open, but I think Volkanovski's a little bit tentative in throwing kicks because he knows those kicks can be caught. So he'll just try to stick with darting in and out, landing some punches. There he switches to southpaw briefly and then switches back to orthodox. Ducks under a big left hand from Makhachev. Volkanovski's same thing where he steps into southpaw and then and he's out. Nice body kick from Makhachev. He's the one that can throw those kicks. Volkanovski sort of powering up there, missed on the right hand. Volkanovski took a step back and threw two counters on the break. Looked like he got a drop there, Makhachev, but he's in on a leg. Right away moved to side control from the single leg takedown. Volkanovski with his back up against the cage. So it's just a tool that Makachev has. Even though if he's rocked, he has these ability to duck under, get engaged in the grappling early, so the judges will quickly forget about the knockdown, and the rest, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in round two, will be mostly grappling here. So similar thing here in the first round, where Volkanovski gives up his back, Makachev on his back, but they're standing. Makachev standing around, trying to get that right hook in again, trying to wear on the leg a little bit. Again, he's going to push and pull, turn him, and then use his balance to get Off ground, there he is. Again, we think Volkanovski is going to turn into him like that, but Makhachev's able to defend back to standing. So good job from Volkanovski there to defend the takedown. Nice knee from Makhachev there in the break, and again pushes Volkanovski up against the fence. Makhachev being the stronger or the higher weight class fighter should be able to control the clinch positions, but Volkanovski, we all know he's a dog. He's able to turn him there. Volkanovski getting some strikes here in the clinch. So we saw a brief takedown there. We saw some back control there. We saw Volkanovski land. This round is pretty close so far. Still feeling each other out. He steps into southpaw, throws the left hand from southpaw back into orthodox again. Ooh, Makhachev with the lead elbow just misses. Ooh, check hook for Volkanovski. Oh, he landed a left straight that rocked Volkanovski. He's moving back. Oh, nice, another nice knee. He does see that Volkanovski's dipping a little bit to the right on those, so he's throwing that left knee up the middle. Body kick for Volkanovski. Left hand is landing for Makhachev here. Step in where he throws the jab and he steps into the right hand, but he's missing. He's a little bit short on the right hand, Volkanovski. Goes to the body. Steps back into southpaw. We'll switch back to orthodox again. Oh, another left hand lands for Makhachev. He gets the clinch. Volkanovski pushes him up against the cage. Volkanovski trying to grab a leg, trying to threaten the takedown. I don't think he's ever getting that. He's grabbing the legs as a way to defend the clinch, pushing Makhachev up against the cage. Based on the striking difference, the Makhachev getting the back for a little bit there, I do think that Makhachev has to get this round as well. Again, Volkanovski was able to land early in the round, but again, the takedown, the control sort of nullifies that. In the judges' eyes, you see more of the control. And again, remember this fight is in Australia, so I think Makhachev's up 2 rounds. Left hand lands for Makhachev. Looked like Makhachev just tripped there. Just pull him, Volkanovski down. Volkanovski, oh, nice counter jab. He just didn't see that one. He sort of overcommitted to the right hand, and then Makhachev popped him back on the counter. Round number 3. Volkanovski stays in orthodox, Makhachev in southpaw. Live line minus 300 for Makhachev. Those odds are surprising considering Makhachev was minus 380 pre-fight, and now I think he's up 2 rounds and he's still minus 300. So I think in the first time when I was watching this live, I hit some Makhachev here at the end of round 2. Makhachev goes high, partially blocked. Volkanovski switching back to southpaw, but he never really throws in southpaw. He threw a jab there, now he's back into orthodox. Jab from Volkanovski. Makhachev's still patient. He doesn't need to engage early in the round. He knows that if he gets a takedown halfway through the round, he'll still capture the round. Um, I don't think the game plan is to stand with Volkanovski, but again, it's just where the entries are coming from. Nice knee in the clinch there for Makhachev. They break off. Nice inside leg kick for Makhachev. Body kick again from Makhachev. I think the advantage for Makhachev is he can kick, whereas Volkanovski can really only stay to these outside low kicks, inside low kicks. Not a lot of body kicks because he can't catch those and get those down to the ground. So he has to be disciplined with his shot selection, knowing that Makhachev wants to get the fight to the ground. Makhachev's nice left hook there partially lands. See the difference where with the body strikes, Makhachev going to the body more often with the kicks. Makhachev ducks under. He's looking for that check right hook on the entry. Nice inside low kick for Volkanovski. Volkanovski steps into southpaw and throws that right hook. Snaps back right back to orthodox. Again, Makhachev looking for the check right hook. Nice knees in the clinch as well. Nice trip there from Makhachev in on the leg. Volkanovski doing the good thing of defending, but just Makhachev able to switch from a single leg to a double leg, get the fight down to the ground. His chain wrestling's on another level. Volkanovski has some of the best takedown defense in the UFC, and Makhachev's able to get the fight down to the ground. Similar thing where Volkanovski's trying to defend the hook, Makhachev's trying to get that hook in. He has the right hook in. Over 2.5 cashes, a minus 150. So nice defense there. Volkanovski pummels, able to turn into Makhachev. Volkanovski's safe here by pushing Makhachev on the fence. Makhachev is going to have to turn it around. Breaks off, lands some punches in the break there. Still feeling it out. Still an orthodox versus southpaw. Volkanovski still circling to the left. He does a pretty good job at sticking with the game plan. Makhachev lands with this straight left there. Volkanovski acknowledges it. Body kick for Makhachev. Inside low kick for Volkanovski. Straight left misses for another check left hook. A right hook for Makhachev lands. Makhachev's striking looks a lot better than anticipated before coming into this fight. You figured Volkanovski would have the striking advantage. Part of that is obviously due to the threat of the takedown. I think there was a trip there. How do you get that takedown? Yeah. Volkanovski's left knee is behind Makhachev as he tries to circle out to that side, gets the takedown or trip from there. Volkanovski in on the neck. Makhachev able to stand right back up. Makhachev trying to circle out. Volkanovski doing a good job of cutting off the cage, pushing Makhachev up against the fence. Almost gets a takedown there. Able to break off. Makhachev likes to have space and not his back up against the fence. 5 seconds left in round three. Okay, so that round is a little bit closer. I give that round to Volkanovski, be able to defend the takedowns, able to do some damage. Makhachev wasn't able to really get what he wanted to get going. So I give that round to Volkanovski. I think Makhachev is up 2-1 here. Let's take a look at these replays. Inside low kick for Volkanovski. Nice one lands. Islam lands a nice elbow, left elbow that lands. Volkanovski eats it. I mean, the chin's on display for Volkanovski, man. Makhachev's landing some big shots. He's really loading into those shots, right? He landed a clean elbow on Volkanovski, and he really didn't get wobbled. So um, we saw the one drop there, but Volkanovski's able to eat that damage so well. We will see. Round number four, Makhachev up 2-1. Minus 285. So after Volkanovski wins that round three, the odds have just dropped a little bit to minus 285. Doesn't really make sense, right? Still up 2-1. Talking about how Makhachev's cardio looks like now in the fourth and fifth round. Lands a straight left there. So far, so good. Remember, he's coming in to this fight in Australia in enemy territory. I think he had to use the IV to rehydrate, or at least was accused of doing that. This next fight coming up will be in Abu Dhabi, so closer to home for Makhachev. Nice body kick from Makhachev. Makachev knows that Volkanovski's darting in and out, so that's why he's loading it. He's able to count. Oh, a nice left from Makachev. Not in any danger there. Makachev backs up and circles off. So Volkanovski likes to stand at range there, and Volkanovski is the one that usually darts in and out. So Makachev's looking for the counter, really trying to counter when Volkanovski comes forward. Either pops him with a jab, pops him with the right hook, times the takedown there, well timed there, gets the double leg easily. So if Volkanovski's not careful and he really commits to his strike, that's what can happen. Volkanovski just times the takedown, tries to crawl to the cage. Right away, gets both hooks in, Makachev into a body lock triangle. 3 minutes left in round four. Rarely does his opponents get out from these chokes, so it's really a matter of Volkanovski having to defend the chokes for the last 3 minutes of the round. So here they're fighting wrist control, right? Volkanovski either two hands on one or controlling one wrist. Uh, Volkanovski's sort of defending, but sort of stalling a little bit, right? And there's 2 minutes and a half where he's going to control his position, throwing some strikes. He knows as long as he holds on to one arm that he's safe. So his rear naked choke defense is pretty good. He knows to tuck the chin. Going to be hard for Volkanovski or Makachev to get the submission here. So we're just going to fast forward this because I assume from what I remember that he stays on the back for the remaining 2 minutes. Volkanovski same thing where he's just defending, fingers in the glove. Makachev, the body lock's on the opposite side for Volkanovski. He has to get that to onto the floor, but the fence is in the way. Now he starts to talk. He starts throwing these punches from the back. But overall, 3.5 minutes of back control time, you have to give it to Makachev. Volkanovski's really trying to spin into the triangle, but because the triangle's on the other side, it's going to be very hard for Volkanovski to do that. 1 minute left. Again, he's just defending the choke. These rabbit punches from the back. Volkanovski talking. Come on. All right. So Makhachev spends three and a half minutes on his back. You have to give that round to Makhachev. Again, we think that he's up 3 rounds. The crowd's going nuts. Going into the fifth round, what do you rate Volkanovski's finish equity at? Plus 400, plus 500 there, right? So it means really Makhachev on the live line should have been minus 800, minus 900. But because everybody believes in Volkanovski, we get a good gift line here in Makhachev live. Again, he just has to survive and not get finished. No highlights here because most of it was on his back. So fifth and final round, Makachev does look a little tired. Volkanovski looks a little bit fresher. Uh, we will see. We did see that Volkanovski has great takedown defense, minus 355. So again, if we're counting the rounds, Makhachev's up 3-1. There is value at minus 355 on the live line, right? Assuming that the judges got it right, Makhachev again lands another straight left. Volkanovski ducks under. Now he tries a different combo, throws the hooks. He's just a little bit short. He's throwing these like loopy hooks, and Makhachev's out of range by that time. Oh, nice knee on the entry. Volkanovski being the shorter fighter, the knees there for Islam. Volkanovski's just a little bit short on the jab. Steps into southpaw. Again, he doesn't like southpaw. He switches back to orthodox. Throws a high kick. Brings the head down. See now, Islam trying to go for the tie clinch, but Volkanovski just throwing punches. He's hoping to land. If both of Makhachev's hands are behind the neck, then it doesn't leave anything to sort of block and defend the punches. Volkanovski kick to the body, but again, he doesn't want to commit to those kicks with the threat of catching the kick and getting the takedown. Makhachev again ducks under, right? Well, Volkanovski tries to spin into it, gets his hip backs. Nice strong hips from Islam or Volkanovski, able to stand back up. He was close to getting the takedown again there. We saw that once Islam does get top control, that it's very hard for him to get back up. So Volkanovski was able to do a nice scramble to get back to his feet. 3 minutes left in the fight. Minus 355 still live. Even here with Makhachev seemingly winning this round, it's still the odds still seem off, right? Even if one of the rounds had before gone to Volkanovski, again, Makhachev able to duck under, grabs the single leg, gets him down to the ground. Volkanovski able to defend. Makhachev trying to pull the leg step over. Volkanovski able to stand back up, but same thing, he just drops him back because he still had the leg. Volkanovski looks like he's trying to get the back there, but Makhachev still defends. They're back to standing. Remember, this is round five. Makhachev had not gone to a round five previous to this, so the takedowns would be expected to come a little bit harder into round five. Volkanovski able to defend. He should have loaded up there and threw a right hand there. Islam going for the clinch. Now is Volkanovski looking for the takedown. Body lock with double unders here up against the fence. He should be told that he's down and has to go for a finish. Oh, an outside trip for Volkanovski. Makhachev using the wizard, standing back up. Makhachev looking at the clock, knowing that he only has a minute left to survive. Mouth wide open, breathing a little bit hard with 1 minute left. Makhachev consent with just sort of circling back a little bit. Ooh. Yeah, Volkanovski timed that. He knew he was going to duck there. He landed a right hand. Makhachev just knows that he has to survive, so he rolls to his back, stays in full guard, puts in the body triangle from the bottom. Volkanovski, his best chances are ground and pound, right? When he gets these positions, he loves to stay in half guard. He loves to stay in full control of it. He rarely go to side control. He likes to the ground and pound, body, head. But Makhachev is just so good. He's going to control the posture here. He's going to keep the closed guard. He's just stalling here for the last 30 seconds. So we really don't get to see Makhachev off his back. He knows he just has to survive. He's not really needing to open up. As long as he survives, he should win this fight. So that's what we get here. Looking at the clock again, 20 seconds left. Body head for Volkanovski. He's not going to really able to do much. Same thing with the rear naked choke, where it's just controlling the hands, controlling the damage. Anytime Volkanovski comes close, I mean, the ground and pound's close, right? If he had maybe a minute or two left, he could still go for it. But the ground and pound's close. It's just how does he get the takedowns, right? It's almost impossible to get Makachev down on his ground. He really only landed the punch that it sort of wobbled Makachev and onto his back. So um, I guess it could come from some sort of ground and pound, right? I got to check the stats whether or not that was considered a knockdown. Uh, Izzy's super happy, but I think again the unanimous decision, right? 49-48 or 40, 48-47, 48, 49-46. Islam. Okay. So what what did we learn? Okay, so Southpaw versus Orthodox. Volkanovski's going to stay in Orthodox. Islam's going to stay in Southpaw. I think that's going to be the same for UFC 294. What adjustments can Volkanovski make? He was a little bit short on the striking engagements. He does like that step into Southpaw where he throws the left hook over the top. Those were they weren't getting home, but he does try to set them up. I think Makhachev's wise to it. He's able to move back anytime Volkanovski comes forward. We saw Makhachev really trying to time those entries either with a counter jab, counter right hook, or duck under for the double leg. So Volkanovski does have to be patient. He can't commit to his strikes because either one, he will get counter, or two, Islam will level change and get those takedowns. Volkanovski showed great takedown defense. We can only assume that maybe it gets better. He sees some tape. He drills some of these inside trips. Um, and maybe they get a little bit better. The takedowns didn't come super easily. Islam really had to work for them up against the cage when he had his back, or he had to really time the entries to get those takedowns. However, we did see when Islam got the takedown, he rarely let Volkanovski up back onto his feet. He got the body lock, and that was 3.5 minutes of control time there. So I think that's going to be the real difference. Volkanovski needs these big shots, big moments in the fight. We saw even in those early rounds where Volkanovski landed, it seemed like Makhachev got dropped, but Makhachev used the drop to get the takedown and get top control. We see that judges like to see the more 3 minutes of control time counts more than a semi knockdown. So I think Makhachev has more paths to victory, more tools in Southpaw versus Orthodox. Again, Makachev is more keen to throwing the kicks to the body, throwing the high kicks. Volkanovski has to be very tentative with the kicks he throws. He knows if he throws the right kick from Orthodox into a Southpaw, it's getting it right caught and easily taken down. So it limits the number of strikes that Volkanovski can throw. He's little bit short on the jab, all right, and his strikes are a little bit loopy. So for Volkanovski to win, he's going to have to find creative ways of closing the distance. He likes to stay out of range, and that's what he normally likes to do. He likes to dart in and out, 1-2 combos, and jump back out. He rarely sits down on 3-4 punch combos. So in this fight, he may be looking for that. But again, once he commits to any longer combos, I think Makhachev's just going to level change, get the takedown. So Volkanovski does have to be light on his feet, avoid those strikes. I think it's going to be a little bit tentative, a little bit slower pace, like we saw in round one, round two, where Volkanovski's standing on the outside. Makhachev's not really known to push the pace if he doesn't have to. He knows that Volkanovski's going to want to blitz in. So it's sort of a stalemate there until Volkanovski is able to come in and Makhachev's able to engage in the grappling. Up on the clinch, if Volkanovski can push Makachev to the fence and maybe keep it standing. But again, that's where Makachev is really strongest. He gets a lot of his takedowns from the clinch there, so I wouldn't recommend Volkanovski doing that. Makachev has a nice tie clinch as well. So it really depends on, again, Volkanovski closing the distance, landing those bigger shots. I think his KO line is probably where his most likely path to victory. I don't see Volkanovski really landing many submissions for Volkanovski to win a decision, I think he's going to have multiple. He's going to have multiple big moments in the fight where he has multiple knockdowns, multiple times where Makachev is rocked. And I think if he is rocked, he's more likely to find the KO finish than he is to win a decision. So we'll be taking a look at some of those props. I think Makachev winning a decision is probably most likely of all the outcomes. We saw 3 minutes and a half of control time in the second round there, or in the third round for Makachev. Um, We saw some other control time for Makhachev, but he was never close in getting the submission. We didn't really see Volkanovski on his back, so perhaps Makhachev has some setups from side control, some crucifixes, arm triangle, but I think from what we've seen, Volkanovski is very hard to submit. I wouldn't rate the Makhachev submission too high. However, the one of the biggest things and the biggest factors to consider is Volkanovski is technically coming off the couch. He did address it. I was surprised when Volkanovski accepted the fight because I figured the first fight was so close. A lot of people called robbery, saying that Volkanovski should have won this fight. So I think Volkanovski could have gotten this fight whenever he wanted. So to come in on short notice, I really don't see if he loses it that he would get a third rematch. So I thought for one it wasn't a smart business move, but the money must have been right for Volkanovski to take it, especially coming off the couch and not having a full camp, traveling across the world to Abu Dhabi and taking the fight there. It's going to be a tough cut for Volkanovski. Now, if anybody's shown the ability to dig deep and show, grit and determination, it's been Volkanovski. He loves that underdog role. However, I just think Makhachev just has too many paths to win. I think if he finds a takedown, he'll stick to the takedown. He can win a decision. Makhachev was landing on the feet, and I think again partially due to Volkanovski concerned with the takedowns and trying to defend the takedowns more than defending the strikes. But on the feet, it looked pretty even, right? Both men had their chances. On the ground, Volkanovski did good defensive wrestling, but again, it was defensive wrestling. Makhachev had more control time. So again, I think for Volkanovski to finish, it's going to be some sort of creative way. Somehow gets the fight to the ground. We saw that when he's on top control, the ground and pound is live. He loves that, but Makhachev's almost a beast to take down. We rarely see him off of his back. So is that really likely to happen? Not really. Again, it have to come in a weird sequence where he's giving up his back at some weird scramble, but Makhachev seems keen on it. He's able to turn into him and scramble with him. I just don't see it. I think Makhachev's the side. If we had to guess in terms of a play, we'll do some math here. Just give me a second. Okay, so what I like to do when I'm capping fights is before I take a look at the odds, I try to come up with my implied probability of what's going to happen. Based on the first fight, we're going to put in some numbers. So we cap Islam Makhachev to win by TKO. Um, we saw him land a couple of strikes there. We saw him land on the feet. Volkanovski got rocked there, but Volkanovski does a good job of regaining not really getting rocked too hard. So we're gonna say for example, let's stick with 15% for Makachev by TKO. Makachev to win by sub. I think it can't be more than 20%. I know a lot of his ways or path to victory is by sub. I think Volkanovski's just too good on the ground. His sub defense pretty good. So I'm going to stick with sub 20% there. We're going to go to decision. Maybe let's say, for example, we'll put in a placeholder at 30%. Volkanovski to win by TKO. I think that's his best path to victory here. So I'm going to keep it at around 20% for now. Or Volkanovski to win by sub. Going to be very rare. I think it's going to have to be some sort of guillotine, but I think Islam's too good to get sub by guillotine, so I'm going to put in a 0% there. Volkanovski to win by decision. Again, if he is going to win the decision, it's going to be a lot of multiple big moments in the fight, a couple of takedowns, couple of chances where he gets rocked. I don't see like he's gonna have to keep the fight standing for 5 rounds. I think once he gets taken down, he loses that round. So I'm gonna cap it around 10% there. We're taking a look. So Volkanovski's side is at 30%. The Islam side is at 65%. So I have 5% remaining left. Where do I want to put it? I think I'm going to put it back to Islam decision. I think that's a little bit low. 35% sounds a little bit better. So once you put in those numbers, my handy dandy calculator will do the calculations for you, giving you the best line. So Islam Makhachev to win by KO, I need an odds of plus 567 or better. Islam to win by submission plus 400 or better. Islam to win by decision plus 106 or better. Total money line implied is minus 233. I think that's about right. I know he opened around minus 200. Odds are around that range. I think right now. Volkanovski to win by TKO. I think I need plus 400 or better. Sub, I'm not even going to touch, and Volkanovski to win by decision plus 900. So those are sort of where I line it at. I may tweak them. I like to stay within at 5%, so I don't go much more granular than 5%. I think at a surface, those odds seem about right. Um, Volkanovski maybe a little bit higher chances of winning by TKO. Maybe you could drop the temp. No, I think Islam landing those shots again. He's live for maybe some ground and pound as well. 15% seems right. So, fight not to go to decision is 55% versus going to decision at 45%. So, we're taking a look at not going to decision at minus 122, goes to decision at plus 122. That does seem high based on seeing five rounds of it, but again, most of Volkanovski's win equity, I think, is tied to the TKO versus decision. I think if we take a look at some ITD only lines, decision only lines, those might come into play. So I'll keep an eye out on those when those come out. But right now I have ITD only sitting at 64%, which translates to about one minus 175. A decision only line I'm interested in, 78% translate to minus 350. So I will be keeping an eye out on that line, seeing if I can get a better line than minus 350. A minus 350 is a little high. For Volkanovski, inside the distance only, plus 175. Decision only, plus 350. Sub only, if they give me a line, it sounds like I should be taking it because I don't see any Volkanovski submissions there. So we will keep an eye out on the lines, see what is available, go from there. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to like and subscribe the video. You'll get notifications anytime I post new content. You'll get the best lines available when I do play them. As well, if you do have some feedback for me, please leave it in the comments. I will read your comments, make any adjustments if necessary. But thanks again. Follow us on social media, and best of luck. See you at the window.